Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Chrissy Hodges. I am a certified peer support specialist here in the state of Colorado, working with people around the world to provide peer support as well as referrals for therapists if you have OCD and are looking to get treatment. If you are in the United States, the UK, and some province of Canada and Australia, I believe, and there may be more countries, and you want to check out their website. OCD, which is also an app, does telehealth, ERP. So check out their website at treatmyocd.com, or you can look below in the description. Sometimes I'm slow to put the description in, sorry. Below to click on a link to schedule an assessment. So I'm the author of Pure OCD, The Invisible Side. Oh my God, I said this the last time I wore the shirt, but this matches my shirt. Sorry, I love this color. And today, that's what I want to talk about. Pure OCD. And why it feels so real. And how that can manifest into physical symptoms that really convince us that it's real. You know, I get this question all the time, and I don't even know where this video is going. I haven't even thought it out. I just thought I'm going to just start talking and see where it goes, because I think it's something that people struggle with, and they also they want to know the answer, and I don't have the answer. So I just wanted to share with you my thoughts on it, and maybe even share some of my experience about it and see if that helps. So in the early parts of having OCD, so if you know my story at all, you know that I lived for a really long time not knowing this was OCD. For 12 years. I had emetophobia, religious scrupulosity was overarching everything. Excuse me. And then I had sexual orientation OCD when I was a teenager. And there are a lot of reasons why I didn't ask for help. And I think that a lot of that has to do with childhood stuff and things I don't want to get into now, but at some point I will when I'm ready to talk about that. And but one of the reasons that I stayed silent about it was that I believe that the religious scrupulosity was the reason for all of it, or my religion. So I thought that God was punishing me with these thoughts and the anxiety. So I used to call them the bad feelings, meaning the anxiety. But then, of course, OCD knows how to manifest with whatever you're worried about. Meaning, if you're worried about AIDS or cancer, a specific type, you might Google, the symptoms, and then all of a sudden the next day you're like, I noticed that I have weight loss, or I noticed that my head is hurting, or I noticed that I'm not hungry anymore. And that must, whatever symptom correlates with whatever disease you're worried about. And then all of a sudden it becomes very real. Well, as you know, with sexual intrusive thoughts and emetophobia, so I have two that could very much correlate with my body responding. So I even have emetophobia now. That's a fear of throwing up. And y'all, even last night, so I woke up at like 1 a.m. I just, I had to go pee. So I get up, and then of course I'm like, I think my stomach hurts. Well, I had eaten this sauce yesterday, and sauce usually irritates indigestion for me, which my brain isn't thinking. Like, just go take some Pepsid, you'll be fine. Instead, my brain goes, I don't think I got food poisoning, because I know that everything I ate didn't have food poisoning, but I went there yesterday and there could have been someone that was sick, and then they breathed on me, and then now I have it, and here we go. And, so I sat there for 30 minutes laying in bed going, does my stomach hurt? Do I feel this way? And it produced nausea, because I get nauseous when I get anxious. And I finally just had to go, okay, I understand what this is, and there's a chance I might throw up. And if that chance happens, I'll just make sure to know that I can go right to the bathroom. But for now, I'm going to relax the best I can. Boom, I went back to sleep, right? Well, the same with sexual intrusive thoughts. When we get sexual intrusive thoughts and we are sitting there contemplating whether we're attracted to a family member or a kid or a animal or, someone that, if you identify as straight, and then you're sitting there going, am I attracted to someone who's the same sex? And vice versa. If I identify as gay and I'm all of a sudden attracted to someone of the opposite sex, and you're checking and rechecking your body, erogenous zones, then shit's gonna move. Shit's gonna like throb, or whatever, because you're going the same way. Is my stomach hurting? I'm gonna throw up. Well, now it's, do I feel wet down there? Did something move? Is something tingly? And for males, as we know, that can happen in the front and it can happen in the back. For females, it also can happen in the mouth. For females, it can happen in boobs. It can happen in the front and the back too, right? So just want to make sure any area of your body can be impacted. So this is, in my own experience, this is why it was so hard. So I already had the burden of not being able to share what was going on, just quickly, because it probably wouldn't have been believed, or it would have been blown off and invalidated. And then to have these strong feelings of proof. It cannot not be real if my body is responding. Now, the short term would be, if I'm feeling nauseous one night and I don't throw up and I wake up the next morning, okay, I guess I wasn't sick. And I forgot how real it felt, right? So then that repeats, either the next night or a few weeks later, or, whenever. But with sexual intrusive thoughts, violent intrusive thoughts, I even did a post on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, follow me at PureOChrissy. I did a post the other day about religion and scrupulosity, and someone wrote that they don't even go into churches anymore because it's like revisiting the trauma. And I remembered this, and I posted it. Like, it doesn't matter what setting, where it is, what the smells are, what part of the country it's at, or in another country. When I get into a church environment, I immediately get the groinal. And it's not like to Jesus or whatever statues, or I just do. It's just like this associated groinal. Like, I have an associated groinal with any religious place. And that's not the reason, but I don't like going into churches because of that. And I could go into a church and I'm like, when's it going to happen? Because I have to go when I go to weddings or funerals or things like that. And I go in and I'm like, at some point I'm going to get a groinal. And every time it happens, it doesn't even matter if I'm like, when is it going to happen? And boom, then it happens. I still go, gosh, that feels so real. Like, it has to be real. Like, who would feel this feeling if there isn't some degree of reality? Like, who's fucking groin moves in a church, right? Like, I don't know. So anyway, I'm embarrassed. Look, I'm like red. I can't believe I just admitted that. But in the same breath, like, I also know how absurd it is, so I can feel it, and it can make me have that zing of, it would not feel this way if it wasn't real. But then the absurdity, I could have like walked around the corner and gone to a library instead, and nothing would have happened. But just because I'm in this associated groinal place, that's always going to happen. And so in essence, at some point, it brings me peace. Like, okay, I just know this is going to happen, and then it does, and it might be alarming, but I just know. It almost further confirms that it's OCD. But getting back to the point, look, y'all, the point of this video is I don't know why it feels so real. I don't know. It does. I mean, the only guess I can say is that it is real, not the content. No, but it's really happening to us. The anxiety is really happening. The fear is this is a real experience, right? But I think what we do is we equate it to, I'm feeling all these feelings, so that must mean the content is real. And that's the disconnect that's just so hard to accept. And so, I'm not going to sit here and say it's easy to accept and you should do this, and you should remember that, and then it will, because y'all, we all know that's not true. I could tell you any day of the week, like, if you have POCD, and you're driving by a playground, I could tell you any day, well, you're going to get the groinal, and just accept it, and then it'll be okay. And you'll be like, I'm going to get the groinal. And you ride by the playground and you get it, and it still terrifies you. Because you're relating it, I relate it to the content. Instead of the fact that my body is always going to react to that part of the brain to help keep me engaged, just in case I'm in danger. When I say that, I mean the amygdala, the biological, all the response that we're having just when we're simply talking about having OCD, right? We have a process going on in our brain. We're talking to our brain when we do compulsions. We're telling it, I'm scared of this. There's a reason why, and here it is. I'm doing a compulsion, so the brain is reacting by warning us or by having us check and recheck or mentally review and this and this. So we're doing this dance with our brain over and over and over and over, continuing to do compulsions, and the conversation continues. And this is where, when we're looking at the behavioral piece of this, the behavioral piece is to stop the conversation, right? So I'm in a spiral, and I've done a video about this before, so I don't want to get into the details of it because y'all are going to be like, girl, you just talked about this a couple weeks ago. But like when it turned to real event OCD, and the way I'm describing that is something's actually going on for me. Like I had the pain in my foot. I could not believe it was OCD because it felt so real. It feels like, hello, I could actually right now, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to deal with it. I could turn my foot and push it into the ground and I would feel this pain. Boom, that's not OCD, that's real pain, right? So I'm not going to sit here and go, my brain is producing it. My foot's producing it, right? So when we get into those situations where we are just so dug in to this cannot be OCD because this is real. I feel it. I feel it in my foot. I feel it in my groin. I feel it wherever it's impacting you. It's so important to remember that this is part of the process of having OCD. Now, I cannot tell you that is going to help in the moment because when you're in panic mode, when you are in trigger mode and you're in it, which is what I like to say, when you're in it, there's virtually nothing you can do to get out of it. Typically, except for compulsions. Unless you can and have practiced learning how to ignore it. And that's what you learn when you're in behavioral therapy. So sometimes it just takes some time to calm down. And I think the critical piece is not buying into the fact that my body is making me feel this way means there must be a bullet here. And I, until I went through ERP therapy, I would think to myself, this can't be OCD, right? This can't be, the way that it feels, the overwhelming, when I had sexual orientation OCD, the overwhelming feeling I feel when it hits out of the blue, there's no possible way this could just be a brain disorder. There's no way. This has to be real. Until I started doing the behavioral work, which was to bring that trigger on and resist doing compulsions. So if I would walk by an area of, let's see, like campus or town or something, and I had a panic attack there, my groinal was fused to that, right? So I would always get a groinal when I would see the Piggly Wiggly. If you're in the South, you'll know what I'm talking about with the Piggly Wiggly. That's a grocery store. But I would always get a groinal there, right? And so I avoided it. But when I did behavioral work, what it is I'm going to show my brain, I'm going to walk by there and allow the groinal to happen. And I'm not going to panic and I'm not going to buy into it. And the more I did that, the more the brain was like, okay, the Piggly Wiggly is safe. Same with the church. If I know I'm going to get a groinal in the church, I'm not going to like it. But if I have to go into a church, I'm going to be like, well, here we go. Here's the groinal. Especially if it's a church without air conditioner, because y'all know hot groinals are the worst. Sorry, but it's so true. That's why I hate the heat. I think I have like a trauma response to the heat because of living in the South and getting groinals as much as I do. So anyway, the point of this is I can't tell you the answer to this question. I guess I can. Like the reason why it feels so real is because we are having a physical response, but it's not for the reasons that you're scared of and I'm scared of. It's not for the reasons that the content's real. It's for the reasons that you're having a behavioral reaction because your brain is activated and you're continuing to do compulsions, and I continue to do compulsions. And it's so hard to resist because of that. So I wish I had something better for you. Y'all know that if I had some sort of answer, I would have just done one video and posted it, and that would be it. This is how you do this. But I hope that when you get all my videos, that you'll help, and when you listen to them, that you know that we're figuring this out together. We're just walking through this, trying to make a little bit of sense out of it. And even if we don't have the answers, we just know we're not alone, because that's also an important part of healing. Knowing that I get you and you get me. And knowing that you don't have to apologize or explain. And that neither one of us has to think that each other is a monster. This is a tough, tough disorder. And I wish it was different. I wish it didn't feel the way it does, but it does. But know that when you're having that experience, so many of us are out there and we get it. And we also wish, gosh, why I would do anything to not have these feelings. If I only didn't have the groinal, this wouldn't be as bad, but that's not true. Like, I'd rather have the groinal any day than this pain in my foot. Be careful what you wish for, Chrissy. But it's stupid because it's all about what the anxiety is about, and that's important to remember. You're having a bodily reaction to something that's going on in your brain, and you're assigning meaning to it and out of fear that it means the content is real. And that's what you're afraid of. When in all actuality, it's reacting to a process that's going on in the brain. And that's hard for us to understand because we're so used to logic. And this is all behavioral. So hang in there. I know it feels real, and you might be struggling right now, and that's why you're at this video. But just know that I get it. Lots of people get it. And that I love you. And I'm really sorry that we have to deal with this. So take care of yourself. It's a Friday right now, so I hope you have a good weekend, or whenever you watch this video, I hope you have a good day, and I will see you next time. If you want to schedule a session with me, I do peer support, and Chance is also in my practice. We can do peer support and referral consultations. And again, if you need therapy, treatmyocd.com. But for services with Chrissy, go to chrissyhodges.com. And I'll see you next time.